Hey everyone, welcome to... Where's my microphone? Hello. Okay. Welcome back. I am Darren Cornwall, and welcome to part 6, I think, of this Patreon exclusive painting tutorial. We are working on Peter Capaldi, the 12th Doctor. I'm just sorting myself out, getting ready to paint while I'm talking to you. So we are working on the skin for the Doctor at the moment. Building up layers and doing all of that stuff. Let me just check that I've got music is playing, microphone is on, things are recording. Cool. We are all ready. I am, however, out of coffee, but I will survive for an hour or so. So, not much to say. I don't think I was going to say anything first, so let's just get on with painting. I will make sure that I've got everything set up right. I think I have. Okay, let's pull this in and... Okay, so that should be okay there. That's where I headbutt it. So I think we're okay. So this is where we are up to. Cool. Let's do some stuff. Let's grab some leather brown and some pale flesh. Okay. Now, how do I want to do this? I'm trying to decide between dry brushing or dabbing on a thin wash or flicking a very thin wash that will dissipate and create uneven, blotchy, colourings. I think at this stage we will just paint stuff on, so manually painting. What brush do I want to do it with? Let's do it with a little one. So little brush, fairly old brush, bit bendy on the tip, but I think that's okay for what we need. So I'm going to grab some leather brown. Yeah, I'll stick it in there. Leather brown in there. And then a load of pale flesh. I could have used cream, but I like the warmth, the yellowiness of pale flesh. Also, I am painting on flesh. Not that I have to go by the names. It's not actually a skin colour, but I do, when I'm working on more organic stuff like skin, I like the warmth that the pale flesh colour gives, as opposed to the cream, which is there, which has a slightly less yellow tint to it. It's closer to white. It's like the difference between a warm yellow, or like a LED lights, and you can get warm white ones and you can get cool white ones, and they're sort of, one's a bit blue and one's a bit yellow. It's that sort of thing. That's the sort of difference with the paints. Not that extreme, but that sort of thing. So when I am painting on stuff like skin, I like the warmth of that colour. So I've just mixed that colour there and really thinned it right down. I don't really know what I'm doing yet. I haven't looked at anything to figure out what I'm doing next, but let's just do some stuff and see what happens. Try and remember to lean forward so you can see what I'm doing. At the moment I'm just taking that pale colour and dabbing it around the place. Making some bits lighter than others. And the way I'm doing this, it's a bit random because I'm just going by eye and what I think will look okay, or what does look okay, but I'm also glancing up at the reference pictures just to get a bit of an idea of where I think it may be beneficial to lighten things up a little bit. So some of it is trying to get to a colour that I actually want sort of straight away, and some of it I'm planning a little bit ahead, thinking, well, if I make this light here, then I'll be able to paint this particular colour on top of it. So a simple example is where the stubble comes, like on the upper lip, and there's a bit there and up there. That I usually don't make overly tanned or anything, because it looks good when you put the lighter blue-grey stubble on, and also things like under the eyes. Now we can add shadows there. I just realised I'm holding it a little bit high for the focus there, so let me open up the webcam settings panel and focus up a little bit. There you go. That's a little bit better. So we're still doing the same thing, we're just applying colours around the place where we think they'll be useful. Actually, what I'm going to do here is get some water, put some water down first, then get some of that colour and go blob 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 where I want it, and the water will let it spread around by itself in a even and organic way. And then when I get round the back here, I'll just blend it in by hand. That's quite good. I shall do that again. So a bit of water, spread some water over the bit I want to do, get some of the paint, and from up here go blob 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 blob. And while I've still got some of that on the brush, I'm gonna, before I blend that in, I'm gonna lift that up and put some around the Adam's apple and on those bits there, just to make them stick out a little bit. Randomly spread some bits around. Okay, wipe that excess off and then go blub 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 blub, and then just blend that backwards a bit. That is quite good. In fact, that's starting to look very good. Okay, so let's lighten a bit up here and around the jaw, so we pick up that round jaw shape. You've got quite a prominent jaw, and it's going to be lighter anyway because we're putting the stubble there, but also we want it to be lighter because it's part of that prominent old man jaw thing, and that's going to be catching light from the, you know, the sky or whatever. So we want those bits to stand out. Also, do the same bit up here again on the cheek, just to lighten that up a little bit more. Sorry, I was pointing it at me and not at you. Very rude. Because you want it to stand out because it's, you know, old man jaw and cheekbone shapes, but also because it's a bit dramatic, and if you can make stuff look cool, then it works. Oh my god, where are these tiny hairs coming from? Go away. Maybe I need to empty my studio out and dust everything and hoover everything and give it a good clean, which I will do, not yet because I don't have time. I can manage it for now. Anytime I see one, I just wipe it off, so it's not a problem. And because I'm super busy at the moment catching up, I will wait because I need to get my work done first. But once I'm done, because I've got a bunch of projects that I want to do for myself anyway, I've got a big Darth Vader figure that used to stand there where that Cyberman currently is, because I think I'm just going to be moving things around because I don't have enough space behind me to put the things that I have, and I don't have that many things. but I'm starting to get more than I have space for here behind me. I need more shelves. I might empty the shelves up there, because they're currently work shelves. I use them for things, my paints, my sculpting tools, my glue, all of stuff like that. But if I can put that stuff somewhere else, then I can use those shelves as more display space. And I want to empty that side of the room, which is currently all the boxes of things that people have sent me, statues and stuff like that. And if I can empty that and find somewhere else to put that, then I have more display space over there. So that's kind of what I want to do. But I've got things that I want to do. So the Darth Vader figure that was there, I've bought some 6-inch, what are they called? CCFL tubes, cold cathode fluorescent tubes. Basically like the big fluorescent tubes that you get in your kitchen, but little mini ones, and they're bright red. And I'm going to make him a proper glow up lightsaber. So I've bought that, I've bought some wire, I've bought a soldering iron, I've bought some switches. I'm going to start getting into electronics. So, you know, soldering lights and making switches and wires and stuff like that, because I've always been interested in that. I used to buy LEDs when I was young to put into toys, and I would start something and then never finish them. And it was terrible. It would just be, all my stuff would be taken apart and never put back together again. So I figure, even though I may be busy at the moment, if I can get into the habit of doing stuff as well as doing my work, doing stuff, you know, that's for me, then, sorry, wasn't on camera then, I was sitting back here painting, then that might give me a way of relaxing that's sort of not work related. So I get a little bit of feeling that I'm, you know, getting some time away, and then I can focus on my work when I'm working. So one of the things I want to do is give Darth Vader a proper light up lightsaber, so when he's back on his shelf up there, he looks all awesome, like that scene in Rogue One, where at the very end where he lights his lightsaber in that dark corridor, something like that. So that'll look cool. So I'm going to do that. I want to, so I've ordered for that a bunch of wire, a bunch of soldering gear, some switches and power plugs and stuff like that. I want to rebuild all the windows on this TARDIS and have them light up properly. So take the windows out, clean, polish down the back so the backs are clear. So at the moment they've got, my God, I can't talk. They've got like a white frosting on the back. I want to clear that off so it's clear. I've got some ordered on the way, some window tint, and I'm going to make, you know, the T shape. Put some of that on the back, then build out of white plastic card a light box behind each window with some lights on it, so that each window lights up as bright as it should be, and some lights behind. If you look in the TARDIS through this door, I'll show you when I do this because I'll make a video about it. There's like a backdrop of, you know, picture of what the inside looks like. I'm going to put some lights behind that so that lights up properly. So that's another thing I want to do. And I can't remember why I started talking about this. Shelf space? Darth Vader? Maybe. I don't know. I can't remember why I started talking about all this stuff. So there's things that I want to do that are not work related. But I don't have time to do them at the moment because super busy and people are waiting for things. So I'm going to do all that first, and maybe, you know, if I can squeeze an hour here or there, do a little bit of something for myself. But ideally, when all of this work is done, I'll have my weekends back, because currently I'm working weekends doing commission painting. So once I get my weekends back, then I'll be able to do things for me, make models or build stuff or whatever, and it'll be awesome. And also because you'll get to see all the stuff as well, because anything I do, I'll make a video and I'll probably do it all on Patreon anyway. So that's a bit cool by itself. So I am, at the moment, while I've been talking and still doing it, I'm just going around all of the figure, going around all the bits, and anywhere where I think it can be a slightly different shade, I'm just dabbing on some of this light wash to help with the colour. Okay, we are starting to look good. So you can see the bits that I sculpted on, bits like that. We joined all that up. We shaped this neck muscle here and the same on the other side. We put a few wrinkly lines on, which we'll be able to exaggerate with some paint. And I shaped that bit. So instead of being a big horrible two-piece thing with a massive hole and everything, it just looks like one neck now, which is great. It's looking really good. Okay, let's see. Let me just compare it to another head for a second. Okay, let me clean this brush for a second. I'm trying to think what other things I wanted to do. So there's Darth Vader's lightsaber, there's the TARDIS. Oh, I want to, that Cyberman, I want to repaint that and give it a proper stand. I want to have some wires coming out of his neck, as if the head has been removed and is being stored in the Black Archive or something. So that's going to be done up, repainted, fix his eyes, put some black mesh on his eyes, give him a proper weathered paint job, and then have some pipes and cables and stuff coming out of his neck. Which way am I? I want to repaint R2-D2 and BB-8 to look better. I want to rebuild, there's a light on R2, the two square lights to the side of his head. Those bits. Those bits. Well, on the toy, and that's a remote control toy that you can drive around and stuff, they just light up as solid blue squares, but they're supposed to be sort of chrome or aluminium frames with lots of blue and white dots inside, like fibre optics. And I want to rebuild those little bits to look better, and then give them a proper paint job and give them some weathering and all the rest of it, and do the same for BB-8. So that's another thing. I knew there was more stuff. And there's obviously the big one, which I'm going to get to last, and it's probably going to take me about 5 years to finish it, is the big Hasbro Millennium Falcon that I've got, which is 28 inches long. It's big. It's like a huge Millennium Falcon. And even though it's an empty shell of a toy, it's actually a really, really detailed, close representation of the studio model. And I just have to rebuild all the things around the side, because there's bits where you put on stickers to show some of the details, and what I'll be doing is not using those stickers, but buying a bunch of model kits and scratch building all the little details and wires and everything myself, because that'll be fun. and giving it all a big paint job and lighting up the cockpit. That's going to be a big, massive thing, which will take me years, and I'm not going to get to that for a long time because there's the other things that I want to do. But that will be a fun thing to do a series on, probably for Patreon again. So as well as my usual, stuff like that, there's going to be a load of other stuff that we'll be doing as well, which is quite cool. Sorry, I was dancing like Joey from Friends then. No idea why. I do not know why I was doing that. Okay, what was I going to do? I knew what I was going to do. Oh yeah, okay. So, let's put away for now the brown, and let's put away the pale flesh for now. So let's get the tanned flesh, let's get some deep red, let's get some blue grey, and let's get some bright red. Right. Now then. Okay, I changed the focus, didn't I? I changed the focus. Jump. There you go. So let's mix some purpley blue stuff. Let's get a little bit of deep red. Get a big chunk of blue. Actually, that's not too far off where I want straight away. Let's put a little bit of bright red in there. Too much bright red. You numpty. Okay, back into the blue. Okay, that's good. So get some thinner. I'm going to chuck a load of water on that because I want it really thin. Right, get rid of that brush. Let's use that one, I think. Okay, let's change the focus because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing here. Let's see. Where do I want it? I can probably... it's not ideal. Well, that's actually not a brilliant brush. Let me go... I need to go shopping for new brushes soon. Okay, that one will do. See, it's sort of in shadow, but I suppose I can tilt it back and let you see. Okay, that should do. So let's get some of that purple colour. I'm not sure if it's as thin as I want it or too thin or not thin enough, but we'll see. It's very watered down. That's sort of what I want. So I'm giving him some big bags under his eyes, and also I can just get a little bit more of that, putting more of it up under his eyes, making some shadow, and taking it around the corner of the bottom of his eyes, you know, the tear ducty bit. So do the same on this one, if I can. Difficult to show what I'm doing. So bunch of paint there, bringing it around the corner, and then doing big bag under his eyes, and then dropping in a load of colour right in the corner. And we'll go back with that and add some more on. That will be redone. Let's take some of that while we've got it. And add a bit onto his upper eyelid. Take it around the shadow. Okay, cool. Okay, that's good. I'm going to carry on with that. Give me 1 second. I've just noticed a little bit of, I don't know, dust or something stuck to the paint, which I'm just going to gently take off. There was a tiny, tiny hair that had got itself stuck on the surface. Okay, that's that gone. Excellent. One more. There you go. Right. So what I want to do with that same colour while we've got it is some random stuff. So let's let me see. Random stuff dotted around his cheeks. Tiny, tiny dots of almost invisible paint. To the point where I'm sort of questioning, am I actually putting any paint on? But I know I am, because it's what I do. But it's super thin. Let's put a bit around the nostrils, just in front of those red bits that we did. And I'm going to take some of that underneath. While we're there, let's do a little bit on the front, like that. Super thin, can almost not tell. Let's do some random stuff around the neck. Now I'm going to do, let's see, how thin is this paint? I'm just going to take some lines that follow the folds of his skin that sort of I know are there, and we've sculpted some of them on, and others are going to be painted on, and I just want to give a subtle impression that they are there, because it's super thin paint and it will be gone over with extra detail anyway, but I just want to give a bit of an impression that there's something there. So you see those sculpted lines? I've just done some very thin lines like that with, so that's actually a little bit thick, that one. Let's just thin that down. There you go. So sculpted line, painted line, and then I've taken a few of them across the front there, and it's just giving some extra. It's like a start to when we do all the flicking, bristle flicking stuff to add all the detail. It's going to help with that and sort of add to the detail. Now I'm just going to take some of that purpley colour and add it to the edge of the hairline. And again, it's super thin, you can barely tell it's there. And when it's done, you might not even be able to tell it's there, but I know it's there, and it does make a difference when you can see it. Now then, I'm going to get some more purple around those corners. Now that that first layer is dry, a bit more purple around the corners and underneath. Let's do a little bit, a few purple dots on the side of his nose, and then dab them in. Blob, 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 blob. So just random dots, and then blend them in and just fade them away. Okay, that'll do for the hand painted stuff on with that colour. But what I'm going to do is while I've got some of that colour and while it's very liquid, the colour that I have, I'm just dotting some around still before I put the brush away. Because I've still got quite a lot of the paint down there on the palette down here, and it's very liquid in that colour. So while I've got it, I am going to, which brush do I normally use? That'll do. So let's see if I can do this. So I've just taken some of the super thin paint. Let me see if I can bring it up for you. You might not be able to see it. I try and do this and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so there's the skin so far. Now I can't, trying to get my hand under here between the camera is very difficult. So let's see if I can do this. I'm aiming for here. Now it's going to go all over, but I'm aiming for there. Okay, so see those? And then we just, if they go on quite hard, like those ones, we dab them off, and then we can also go in with a brush, like a wet brush, and wipe any excess ones off. Or we can, they'll be faded back when we do more with what was I going to say? With more colours when we go in, after, you know, on top. There's always more stuff that you can do. And what I want to do, because I'm looking at that as I was doing it, it was a little bit dark, the colour. It was sort of what I wanted. I'm just doing a little bit on the chin, and I'm making this as subtle as I can because I don't really want it. I just want some background detail. I'm going to do some random stuff over the side of the neck, but what I realised that I wanted was the same stuff but with more of a red colour. So I'm going to take, even though I'm doing this, I'm just adding some extra stuff around the back as well, because you don't want to have the front super detailed and then the back just be flat plastic. So what I'm going to do is just get the brush with some water on it, and I'm just thinning down any bits where it's gone on too thick. I'm just going in with a brush and dabbing it and lifting up those dots that are too thick for what I want. And in some cases lifting them up completely to get rid of them, and in some cases just thinning them down so they don't show as much, but so that they still do show. And it's just all done by eye. You just go by what you think looks right and what feels right. And if you think you see something where it shouldn't be on the face, then get rid of it. Okay, so let's get that. While we're doing that, let's add some. I'm going to add some bright red to that liquidy mix, and that's obviously making it a little bit thicker again because we're adding more paint. So I'm chucking some more water in there. I'm going to chuck a lot of water in there because I want it super thin. Right, load of water. Now let's see, is that thin enough? Actually might be. So let's try again. Let's have a look on the side of the neck. I've got to try and find, because the focus, the layer between on this camera where it focuses when you move it up is super precise, and you've got to hold at exactly the right height. Okay, so can you see those dots going on? That's what we want. I'll take some of them off. Let's do some around the back. Okay, so that sort of detail now. Let's see, have I got any paint on? I have a little bit of paint, but it might be a bit too dry, so I'm going to put some more on. Wipe most of it off and flick off all the excess until it's flicking down drops roughly the size that I want. Now where's the face? It's difficult because I normally do it at an angle. What are you? Oh, is that a bit of paint? Yep, I will thin that down. Well, can you see the dots? That's what we're layering on, and that's what ends up giving us more realistic skin. So I'm going to chuck that brush in there because we'll come back to that one. I just want to very quickly take a wet small brush. I'm doing the same thing again. I'm just going over some of those dots because I was sort of doing it for the camera more than I could see myself, and some of them are a little bit heavy for what I would normally do. So I'm just thinning some of those down, nice and quick, nice and easy, and we're going to have more going on top anyway, which is good. And we're going to do that in a second. That's quite good. So, what shall I do next? Next, I will do, let's do the same thing, but we're going to do it with some light colours. So I want some pale flesh, and I want some, do I do it with some pale flesh and tan flesh, or pale flesh and some leather brown? I think leather brown. So you know that colour that I was... Oh, you know what? I might still have some. I've just looked at my palette. Let's cover those up again a sec. Give me any brush. Okay, so this old tape covered one will work. The only annoying thing of this, when I've put all this tape on in one of the last videos, when I dip it in water, now the water goes all down there. It ends up dripping water for ages. So we did some focus. We did some light, very pale flesh and leather brown mixture, where we were dabbing it around the face. This video or the last video, I honestly can't remember when it was because everything is sort of in a blur now, and because I'm painting a bunch of other heads at the same time. But in one of the videos we used this colour, and I've just noticed that the colour is still there. It was just starting to dry up, so I just chucked a load of water on it, and that seems to be good. So what I'm going to do, come on with it with a load more water, just get the excess off the handle. Now let's see if this is any good, because this is quite light. And because it's so thin and watery, this will spread itself around a bit instead of going down as hard dots like the thicker paint does. Because it's so thin and watery, this will end up very subtly lightening the colour, but also giving a nice gentle mottled effect to it, but not one that will be immediately obvious that it's had a load of stuff flicked on it, because it'll just be sort of subtly broken up to the eye, but you won't really know why. I'm doing exactly the same stuff as we did with the purple and the red, and we'll do a bit more, but I'm just going around this again and again and where I think it needs it, and it's not making a huge difference with each pass because it's so thin and watered down, but it's just enough to break up the colour and give a bit of a skin effect to it, but also help us get to the colour that we want. And it's going on super thin. Let me see if I can show you a bit of it. You can see how the face is looking a bit wet now because it's sort of going all over it. But let's try and do a bit here. But I need to try and get it at an angle. In fact, you know what? There. Can you see all those wet dots? Let's see if I can do some here. Where's the light? Oh, this is difficult to try and catch the light on it. You can sort of see the wet bit there, so all those shiny bits, that's it. But you can see it's not really having that much effect on the colour, but it's a subtle effect. And the colour itself is that, but so thin that it is changing it, but in such thin ways. It's going on as almost like really thin milky liquid, like really, really thin. And then each bead of water that lands just sort of spreads out a little bit, and it's a great way of randomly breaking up a skin surface and subtly changing a colour instead of just dabbing at it with a brush and hoping for the best. I like this because it's a layer of detail. It's the type of thing that I never used to do, but which now makes my work stand out way more than it used to, or to be way better than it used to. So that's gonna dry for a little bit, all that stuff. So you can see, there you go, you can see the wet that's on it. That's basically all that new stuff. Cool. I'm happy with where he's going. Let's have a look. Let's compare him to one of the toms that I've got here. We're getting there. Or let's compare him to the David Tennant that I've got. Excellent, we are on our way. So I'm going to let that dry for a little bit. I'm going to pack up some other stuff that I've got, things that I need to send out, and then we will come back on the next video, whatever that next video is. I've forgotten what part I'm up to. So I'm just putting these lids on before I forget, because whoa, wrong colour, wrong lid. Don't do that, Darren. Also, helps if you're not looking at a blurry nothingness. In fact, you don't need to be looking at that at all now. Come on, thank you. Hello. Okay, so that was that video. We did. That was a brilliantly obvious statement. That was that video. Sometimes I just don't know. We did a load of work on the skin there. We put in a load of detail. We started subtly guiding the colour towards where we wanted it to be, whilst at the same time giving it lots of random skin variations and stuff going on without being obviously, oh look, that's a thing that's been painted. Just stuff that you wouldn't really get if you just painted it, especially the way I used to paint it, where I would get the thing and the brush and I would go paint, 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 paint. And that's how I used to do it. Like my early ones, like, where's my thing? Anakin there. Even though I like how he looks, it was just painted. I didn't do any of this stuff. So all this flicking on with details and random dabs and dabbing it off with your finger, all of that stuff is stuff that I've improved in the last 10 years, and it can make an otherwise static looking paint job feel a bit more alive. And I've had messages from people who have used it on their own projects where they've got like garage kits that they've been putting together of different characters and stuff, and they've tried that themselves and they've said it makes all the difference. So it's a good thing to try, but it's better to go, when you're doing it, when you're mixing the paint, it's better to do it more subtle than you think it needs to be. And also, when I do it, I use the piece of tissue, the kitchen roll that I have next to my palette. But you can also just use a piece of paper, an envelope or something. So when you get the colour and you've mixed it a bit thinner than what you think you need, take that, put some on the brush, flick a bit off onto the palette so you're not dripping drips everywhere, and then flick it onto the white thing and see how big the drops are and what colour the drops are and how heavy the drops are, like how much full of paint they are. And you want it a little bit more subtle than what you think, and then you can build it up, because it's always easier to build it up and you're not going to get too many layers of this stuff. But it's a good thing to try. And if you've got any questions about it, shoot me a message either in the comments or a private message through Patreon or on my YouTube or Facebook page or wherever, and I will do my best to help. Right, that's it. I'm going. Enjoy the rest of your day, however much of your day you have left. I don't know what time you're watching this video. I don't even know what month you're watching this video, but enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good day. Look after yourselves. Be nice to people around you, and I will see you on the next video, and we will do probably a bit more of the same, building up the colour of the skin, and we might do some random stuff on the hair or something. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what looks like it could be done while we're working on it. A lot of this is just, oh, what do we do next? There's no set plan in the order that we do things on this. Sometimes you'll be doing one thing and you'll think, oh, I can see that, and you'll fly to another bit and do something random. So we'll see how it goes, but we'll carry on and we'll get closer to being done. That was a rubbish sentence. Have a good day, guys. I'll see you next time. Take care.